Welcome to Bahasa Indonesia, Lesson 7A, all taken from out of this book, How to Master the Indonesian Language by A.M. Almatsier. So, negation. Bukan. Bukan as a negative adverb precedes nouns and pronouns and indicates a contradiction to a previous question or statement. It sort of refutes assumptions. For example, A. Ini bukan sepeda teman saya. This isn't my friend's bicycle. Pak Kamil bukan pedagang. Pak Kamil is not a trader. Bukan saya yang mengambil uangmu. It wasn't me that took your money. B. Inikah mobil Tuan Kasim? Now, we'll drop the ka on the end of that ini. In Indonesian, spoken Indonesian, we don't hear that very much at all. So it would be, ini mobil Tuan Kasim, as a question. Bukan, ini mobil kami. No, it's our car. Nyonya, we drop, becomes ibu. Ibu mau ke pasar. Bukan, saya mau ke Jalan Besuki. Does mum want to go to are you going to the market, mum? No, I'm going to Jalan Besuki. Bukan used as question tags. Now this is very common, very, very common in Indonesian. Tuan we drop for bapak. Bapak datang dari Paris, bukan? Oh, Dad's arrived from Paris, hasn't he? Bukan is hasn't he, in that case. Bapakmu bekerja di pabrik, bukan? Your father works in the factory, doesn't he? Anak ibu sakit, bukan? Oh, your child is sick, aren't they? Compare with the English. Don't you, are you, is he, aren't I, etc. So we tag it onto the end of something, and it's very, very common. In fact, what they quite often do is drop the bu on bukan, and it just comes down to kan. So you hear things like, dia yang ambil kan? It was him who took it, didn't he? Very, very common just to drop the bu and just end up with kan. They end a lot of sentences and questions and that in Indonesian with that kan on the end of it. Tidak, this is number 2. Ayah tidak makan pagi. Dad didn't eat in the morning, didn't eat breakfast. Saya tidak datang ke rumahnya. Now, before we go any further, there are 3 ways of saying no. Tidak, or shortened to tak. The other ways are probably more common, particularly enggak. Enggak, and that's very, very common, enggak. The other way is ndak. Ndak. So, saya tidak datang ke rumahnya. I didn't go to their house, his or her house. Buku itu tidak ada di atas meja. The book is not on the table. Pedagang itu tidak naik mobil ke kantor. The trader didn't go by car to the office. Air ini tidak panas. This water isn't hot. Lemari ini tidak berat. This cupboard, isn't heavy. In this connection we have tidak mau, don't want, tidak boleh, may not, tidak suka, not to like, tidak akan, will not, tidak usah, tidak perlu, you need not, tidak berani, dare not, tidak bisa or tidak dapat is cannot. Tidak as a negative adverb precedes verbs and adjectives. The short form is tak, like I said earlier. For example, di sini tak ada hotel besar. Other ways of saying it are di sini nggak ada hotel besar. More common that way. Di sini nggak ada hotel besar. Di sini nggak ada hotel besar. Either way. Kantor pos tidak jauh dari rumahku. Tak jauh dari rumahku. Nggak jauh dari rumahku. Nggak jauh dari rumahku. The post office isn't far from my house. Number 3. Tanpa. Without. Tanpa isn't used very often. The examples that they give us here is orang tua itu minum kopi tanpa gula. I would say that a more common way of saying that in Indonesian would be orang tua itu minum kopi nggak pakai gula. The old person or the parent is drinking coffee without sugar. Another way of saying coffee without sugar is to say bitter coffee, kopi pahit, a very common way of saying coffee without sugar, kopi pahit. Teh pahit, the same, tea without sugar. Saya tidak bisa makan tanpa sendok dan garpu. I can't eat without a spoon and fork. Another common way of saying that would probably be, saya tidak bisa makan kalau nggak pakai sendok dan sama garpu. Dan we drop for sama. Sama for and is a much more common way in colloquial speech in Indonesian rather than dan. We, in fact, don't hear the word dan very much at all in Indonesian, in spoken Indonesian. Dia datang tanpa istrinya. He arrived without his wife. More common way of saying that would probably be, dia datang sendirian. He came alone. That should be enough for 7A, and I'll post 7B, and we'll take it from there. So good luck with it all. Selamat belajar.